Today, I'm going to teach you how to create one of the most important documents on a film production, and that is the call sheet. Whether you're a seasoned film professional or you are just starting out, the call sheet is crucial for ensuring that your film set runs smoothly. Now, there probably are a lot of different formats out there for how to create a call sheet, but today I'm going to be showing you the template that I use. At the very top of every call sheet, you need to have the most important and the most urgent information, and that would be the emergency details. So right at the top, I always like to have this by default, and this is where I will put the nearest hospital. I will also put the phone number for, an emergency ambulance or emergency police. And then I will also put the details for the closest police station. So this is the address, the phone number, then directly under that, so that people know they're on the right project, I guess, I have the movie name in big, bold letters. Straight after that, we want to have the most important contact details. So, there might be maybe someone is late, there's traffic, they've broken their leg on the way, they can't make it, the star isn't available, whatever it might be. They go to the call sheet, they see the very first number at the top of the page, the assistant producer or the producer or whoever it is that you want to be in charge of being the main contact on the day. Typically, I would have the assistant producer or co-producer or whatever, and the producer's name, which in a lot of cases is me. After that, you also want to have the production company details, just the name of the production company, the address of the production company, just all of these details in case anyone needs to reach or send something related to that particular shoot day. After that, you want to go into locations and dates. So we have the location that we will be using for the day. So one thing that you can do, maybe here in script location or here just after the dash, you can type in what the location is in the story. So maybe there's a character named Sally and you're doing a scene in Sally's house. So maybe you would put Sally's house. Underneath that, you would have the actual real world address so that people know where it is that they're going. So they know where they're going and they know what scene or location for the film that they are going to as well, so they can prepare whatever it is that they need to prepare. You'll have the shoot day. As someone who has worked filming events for over 10 years, it's definitely important to know whether it is a Sunday or a Saturday, because it's very easy to get things like that mixed up sometimes. Maybe that's just me. It is definitely important for me to confirm which day it is, because sometimes someone might give you the date for the film, but perhaps maybe they make a mistake, maybe you make a mistake, whatever it is, but having the day is just an extra way to confirm that. Underneath location, we then have unit base. So the unit base is pretty much where everyone is supposed to go to get ready for the day. It is where the food might be, it is where the batteries might be, it's where the first aid kit or the sunscreen, just all of that stuff. That's where unit base is, where all of that stuff is. If you're doing a very small shoot, it might just be the exact same location, just like I've got written here. Perhaps you'd have, in the convention center, but you might make it even more specific. So, the north end corner next to this cafe or whatever it might be. After that, so we have the important production company mobiles up here, but then we're also going to have this little bit here with other on-set mobiles. So the unit manager, because they're important, because if you have the producer or the director or something up here, they might be busy. Maybe you get to set during a time where they're already shooting. So you obviously can't call the producer or the director. So you would call the unit manager, or you would call the location manager. The next part, which is very, very important, is the crew call time and the wrap time and the meal break time as well. You put it down here. I like to just do it in 24-hour clock. That way people won't accidentally get 7 a.m. mixed up with 7 p.m., for example. I know that there is always the case of, people who aren't used to the 24-hour clock, so they might accidentally mistake 1700 hours for 7 p.m. as well, even though it's actually 5 p.m. My personal preference is the 24 hours. Then you would have the dinner time. You might even put estimated meal break time. And then, of course, at the end, you would have the estimated wrap time. And I think it's important to put the estimated part in there, because anyone that has worked on a film will tell you that is almost never the actual time that you finish. After that, we'll have a little bit here with the weather forecast for the day. You might make the call sheet well in advance, and then you put in whatever info you can about the weather. But if you have the opportunity to update it, like the week before, the day before the shoot, then I would say that you should do that because, weather forecasts can change quite quickly sometimes. You would put in the minimum temperatures for the day, the maximum temperature for the day. You'd put in the likelihood of rain. You'd put in the amount of rain, because the amount of rain can be important, because it might be 100% chance of rain, but it's 100% chance of like a tiny little sprinkle that no one will even notice when it actually does happen. Just important to put in as many of those things as you can. You might put in like wind direction. That can be important. You want to know which way the character's hair is going to be blowing, perhaps. You want to know if one day's going to be all windy, the next day is not windy, and then you're cutting those two things into the same scene, and is it going to be consistent? So you need to know these things. Weather is important. And then connected to the weather as well, you'd also be putting in the sunrise and the sunset time. These are also important because as you get into the winter months, you have a significantly less daylight to play with. And it's just important to know if the sun is setting at a particular time, then that might end up being your absolute cutoff time for the day. Or perhaps if that is the time when the sun is setting, you know that you're going to shoot all of your daytime scenes beforehand, and you're going to shoot your night scenes after that. So it just gives you a better idea. If we are wrapping at 7 p.m., which is unlikely, then you know that the last 45 minutes of the day is the amount of time that you have to film any nighttime scenes or shots that you have. Directly after that, you would have a bit of a shooting schedule on your call sheet. Sometimes this can be quite simple. It might just be, we're going to have 12 shots throughout the day. This is how much time we have to do them, and just somewhere in there you'd put a meal break. For me personally, and I'm not even sure if this is a common thing actually, but I actually kind of like to make my call sheet almost a double up of my shot list, and even more than the shot list, because the call sheet would have more specific times for the day as well. This one here is fairly simple. It just tells you when people will arrive and when people finish and wrap up and everything. But in some of my other call sheets, I will actually put in the shot descriptions, low camera angle, and and this one's an establishing shot, and this one is on the dolly. That's just a personal thing because I'm always constantly losing my script and my shot list. So if I did happen to lose all the copies of scripts and shot lists I have on the day, then I could just find one of the call sheets, which hopefully everyone has printed out a copy of it on the day, and then, we can keep going. What you don't want to do is show up on the shoot day. You could be like, okay, we have like 20 shots, and we're just gonna see how we go. We're just gonna see how many of those we get through. Plan it out properly. So you want to think about each of the different shots that you're planning to do for that day, and you want to talk to your DOP, your director of photography, and discuss how long you both think it'll take to set up this shot and complete it. You would have your estimate over here on the right side, on the right hand side. So this one was saying will take about half an hour to complete, and that is important to know. If you break up all of your shots this way, you'll know how many shots so if you've got an 8 or a 10-hour day, then you'll have almost an exact idea of how many shots you think you can squeeze into that shoot day. And then you might even just have a few bonus shots. So if things go really, really well, then you can also do those extra shots. I think the most amount of shots I've probably done in a day is about 30, and that's really pushing it. That was a very run and gun type of shoot day. So you'll put in times of when people are supposed to arrive for a particular scene. You'll put which character is needed, and you would put what actor is needed, because it's not always the same thing. You might have a character that's needed, but maybe it's just that character's leg, or it's just their shoulder, or, it's that character, but they're wearing, a mask, in which case you can have that character, but you could have them played by Philip instead. I've done that plenty of times, and it helps just sort of prevent your main actors from needing to be on set all of the time. Find other people to fill in some of those smaller shots when possible. Yeah, so you would have this schedule, you would write out your descriptions and just put in as much detail in here as possible, and just try to be as precise as you can. Then one of the most important parts, which would usually be somewhere in the middle, but I guess on this shoot day, we sort of did it toward the end because it was a bit of a shorter shoot day. Definitely put the meal break. So this one was a dinner break. It might be a lunch break or a breakfast break. Definitely put in the meal break because that is often one of the most important parts to people. I know for me, the first thing I think about whenever I go to anything is what food will be there. So then after you've finished off the shooting schedule portion of the call sheet, then we'll go into another section that just has the contact details for everyone that is involved. Maybe there is some kind of emergency. Maybe there is some kind of reason why you specifically need to call the director of photography. You know, perhaps they haven't made it and they haven't managed to contact you for some reason. And so you have their phone number so you can contact them and find out what's going on. So I'll do this for the crew and I'll do this for the talent. Everyone technically has everyone's contact details. After that, you will have just some brief instructions for parking. There's paid parking, there's street parking, there's private parking, whatever it might be, but you'll give some instructions here. Sometimes it can just be something very simple. Sometimes it can be detailed depending on what the arrangement actually is. After that, we'll have some notes for each department. So we'll have a section here for props, and you would basically just list out every prop that is required for that shoot day. Like all of the main props that are needed so that nothing is missed, because it can be such a pain when you get to the shoot and there is like one important thing that you don't have, and it's like, okay, well, how do we do this scene without it? We're gonna have to like change the framing and like not show that half of the room or something. So there might be creative ways around it, but the easiest thing for you to do is list out all the props, and then the day before you go through and you tick it off and make sure that everything is there. Same thing again with the costume department. List out all of the costumes, all of the characters' costumes, the background costumes, and of course, hopefully it's not just you, like one person who has to organize all these things, but if you're a one-man band kind of thing, then maybe that is the case, in which case it's even more important that you have these lists. After that is the camera department. You and the DOP have hopefully put lots of thought into it, writing out exactly what shots you're doing that day and how long each of those shots will take and which ones will use dolly and which ones will use tripod. Then you would be able to put together an exact list of all the camera equipment that you should need. And hopefully you do actually have a DOP, someone else that can lighten the load and be responsible for this equipment list. And then exactly the same, you do the same for you'd probably include lighting in the camera thing, or you would have another section for lighting. Then after that, we have sound to include all the sound equipment that you guys need for the day. Then after that, we have grip. In simple terms, grip is anything that the camera attaches onto. So do we need the tripod? Do we need the dolly, etc.? So then we'll have some location notes. I'll put the address again just to be safe so that people don't miss anything. Then I might just have a few instructions. So with this particular shoot day that I'm showing here, it was actually quite a windy path to get to the spot where we were filming. So I put in a number of photos along the drive so that they knew what was going on. So, you know, this is the entrance and blah, 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 instructions. Then you'll see this sign, keep going. And then I'll go onto Google Maps, and Google Maps is helpful. So I'll just get a screen grab of the whole area. And I like to do these little mud maps showing exactly where you go. Yeah, just another photo of the entrance, and then so I'll have this larger photo, and then I'll zoom in and I'll get a closer photo, and then I can say, you know, this is where unit base is going to be. That over that way is where shooting location is going to be. This is where parking is, and here's a little photo of like what unit base looks like. Probably what I should have also done for this one is also add a closer bird's eye view of the actual spot that we would be filming. And that is it. That is everything that I include in one of my call sheets. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions. This kind of call sheet has been used for smaller shoots, not necessarily big multi-million-dollar Hollywood blockbusters or anything like that, but smaller independent films. I'll put a template for this call sheet down in the description below, so keep an eye out for that and feel free to try it. If you do try it and it works for you, let me know. If it doesn't, let me know what I could improve. And with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.